The baton came down like a crack of thunder in the desert heat, and every living thing in the yard seemed to flinch at once. Dust jumped from the ground, the metal post rattled, and the K9's body tensed in a way that was not training but survival. This was not discipline born of patience or understanding. This was fear being forced into muscle and bone, and it echoed across the training field like a secret everyone knew but no one dared name. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the quiet power of compassion over cruelty, take a moment right now to like this video, share it, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this matter because they remind us who we are supposed to be. The police training yard sat far from public view, fenced off by concrete walls and wire, a place where mistakes were buried under routine and authority. The officer in charge had built a reputation on results, not methods. His K9s obeyed quickly, reacted instantly, and showed no hesitation in the field. On paper, his record was flawless. But behind the numbers was a darker rhythm, one that repeated itself day after day. Commands were enforced with force, hesitation punished, fear mistaken for respect. The dog at the center of this story had learned to read the air before it learned to trust a hand. Its muscles were powerful, its senses sharp, but its eyes carried a constant alertness, the kind that never rested even in stillness. Training sessions were loud, harsh, and efficient, and when they ended, the yard returned to silence, as if nothing had happened at all. The dog had not always been like this. It had been chosen for its intelligence, its drive, its eagerness to connect. Somewhere along the way, that eagerness had been replaced with compliance. The officer believed dominance was the only language animals understood, and anyone who questioned him was reminded of his success rate and his badge. Other officers looked away, telling themselves it was not their place. The system rewarded outcomes, not empathy. The K9 did its job, followed commands, and never broke. On the surface, everything worked. Underneath, something was quietly eroding. Change came not with sirens or official orders, but with the low hum of an approaching vehicle and two figures stepping into the heat. A Navy SEAL was visiting the facility as part of a joint training observation, accompanied by his own military working dog. They moved differently from the start, not loud or imposing, but controlled and aware. The SEAL's posture was relaxed yet alert, and his dog walked beside him without tension, without strain on the leash, eyes calm but focused. It was the kind of partnership that did not need force to be visible. People noticed without knowing why. As the training resumed, the contrast became impossible to ignore. The police K9 reacted to every movement like a spring wound too tight, while the military dog observed quietly, responding to subtle cues almost invisible to the untrained eye. The SEAL watched the session unfold, taking in the raised baton, the sharp corrections, the way fear moved through the animal before obedience followed. He had seen brutality before, in places far worse than a training yard, but what unsettled him was how normal it seemed here. This was not chaos or war. This was routine. The SEAL had trained dogs in environments where trust was the difference between life and death. He understood that a working dog was not a tool but a teammate, one that needed clarity, consistency, and respect. Watching fear replace understanding stirred something heavy in his chest. He saw not just a dog being trained, but potential being narrowed, intelligence being boxed into reflex, spirit being suppressed rather than guided. His own dog sat beside him, calm and steady, a living counterpoint to what was happening just meters away. Over the following days, the SEAL's presence lingered like a quiet challenge. He was not confrontational. He did not lecture. Instead, he demonstrated. During shared exercises, his dog responded with precision without raised voices or force. Commands were minimal, movements smooth. When mistakes happened, they were corrected with patience, not punishment. Slowly, eyes turned. Questions surfaced. Comparisons formed. The police officer dismissed it at first, brushing off the difference as a matter of temperament or military privilege. But the seed had been planted. The K9 at the center of the yard began to notice the difference too. Animals are acutely aware of energy, of intention. The sight of another dog working with confidence rather than fear stirred something long buried. During joint drills, the police K9 hesitated, not out of disobedience, but confusion. The old methods suddenly felt louder, harsher, more exposed. The yard that once swallowed everything in routine now felt like a stage. Pressure built quietly. Supervisors began asking questions, not accusing, just observing. The SEAL shared his methods when asked, explaining how trust created reliability, how calm leadership produced clarity under stress. He spoke of dogs that had saved lives not because they were afraid to fail, but because they trusted their handler completely. The words carried weight because they were backed by experience etched into scars and silence. The turning point came during a high-intensity exercise meant to simulate chaos. The police K-9 faltered, overwhelmed by conflicting signals and rising stress. The moment stretched thin, dangerous. Without stepping out of line or raising his voice, the SEAL intervened, guiding his own dog to stabilize the situation. The exercise ended without injury, but the impact lingered. Fear had nearly caused failure. Calm had prevented it. After that day, things began to shift. Training protocols were reviewed. Methods were questioned openly. The officer who once ruled the yard through force found himself isolated by his refusal to adapt. Change did not happen overnight, and it was not dramatic, but it was real. The K-9 was reassigned temporarily, placed under a handler willing to try a different approach. The first days were uncertain. The dog flinched at sudden movements, hesitated at gentle hands, unsure what kindness meant anymore. Patience replaced pressure. Consistency replaced fear. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the tension began to ease. Weeks passed, and the transformation was not just in performance but in presence. The dog's posture softened. Its eyes no longer scanned every shadow. Commands were followed not with panic but with purpose. The work became cleaner, sharper, more reliable. What had once been forced now flowed. Those who watched could not deny the difference. The yard felt quieter, not because less was happening, but because less fear filled the space. The Navy SEAL eventually left, his role complete, but his impact remained. He did not claim credit. He did not need to. The proof was in the partnership rebuilding itself step by step. The story spread quietly, not as scandal, but as a lesson. Authority without compassion was fragile. Strength without empathy was incomplete. The K-9 had not needed to be broken to be effective. It had needed to be understood. If this story touched something inside you, if it made you pause and feel, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes in compassion, and subscribe to the channel. Your engagement helps stories like this reach the people who need them most. Before the ending, leave a comment telling us what kindness means to you, or share a moment when patience changed an outcome in your own life. In the end, the training yard was still the same place, surrounded by the same walls, under the same sun. But something invisible had shifted. A dog once shaped by fear now worked with confidence. A system once unquestioned had been challenged by quiet example. And a reminder lingered in the dust and silence that true strength is not measured by how much force you can apply, but by how much trust you can earn.